Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hey, 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 it's the phenomenal STEMist. Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Who TF did I marry? I hear somebody's sound in the background. It got louder for some reason. What happened? Is that me? Do y'all hear the feedback?
No,
I don't hear the food yet.
Yeah, for some reason I hear shh. But
Maybe
okay.
it's not in.
No, I think it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I think it's better. I just turn it down a little bit. I'm here with Kevin Ploche and Kara Hartage. They're gonna talk about what they do a little later, but I'm excited to talk about the top red flags, financial red flags. I was watching Who TF Did I Marry? Did any of y'all watch that?
I did. I just watched it today.
Okay. K
Finally
Boogie
came in.
watched it. Kevin did not waste his money making time on it.
Unfortunately, I did not. Nah, I'm sorry, did not.
Those of you who are watching, I see a couple of you watching. Put it in the chat. Did you watch WTF? Did I marry? Put it in the chat if you did. But I was really, really concerned with the amount of red flags that was in that situation. So, just a little recap. Um, a a uh, a young lady, she was 32 years at the time during COVID, fell in love with a man who said that he was financially well off. She let him move in within 2.5 weeks, and was financially duped by her. He lied about everything and ultimately divorced. But I mean, think lies like I make six figures, lies like I'm from California, I was married before. A lot of lies. Like here's my financial report, but really, it's just screenshots. Like this screenshot of my baby picture, like all kinds of lies. And in my mind, it troubled me because like how did she not see the red flags, the multiple red flags, not just red flags before, just emotionally, but financially, things like no worker buys a company car, like most people don't put $700,000 cash on a one single family. Like who makes those kind of financial decisions? How come she didn't recognize? What did you guys think?
I think she recognized them because she called a couple out, but she, as she put it, she was intoxicated. She was intoxicated by the fact that this man was taking care of her financially, that she didn't have to worry. He was going to buy her a new house. He was going to buy her a new car. And those things are will put blinders on your eyes sometimes. And she let all of her walls down and let him really just run over her.
She let her walls down because he was willing to pay her bills. I mean, we call that financial boundaries, right? We call that like financial. Like you should never, or should you? You should never let somebody you don't know put exorbitant amounts of finances on you. Is that not a problem?
Well, see, it's for me, I think it goes back to an even deeper problem where there's two subjects that we don't learn in school that we have the most problem with in real life, and it's money and relationships. So,
Mm,
so notice in that scenario, the
Mhm.
two most important situations that caused that to happen was the fact that she didn't have a good foundation as it relates to how does she build a strong foundation with a relationship. And then you can see that she doesn't have a good relationship with money either,
oh
Mhm.
you
yeah.
know, because of the fact that how you make money, how you earn money, how you save money, all of these things is once you get educated on it, you know how it works. So when something or someone says something outside of that, you'll be able to pick up on it, rather
Real
than say,
fast.
right,
Immediately.
How
rather
I
Exactly.
than
like how you I like how you plugged your how money works.
well, that's what
How
that's
you
that's
doing
what
I know we got to talk later
that's
about
that's
that.
that's what we do over here. So, but it's a serious thing because of the
yeah.
fact that when we get out into the real world, we're hit with relationship issues, we're hit with money issues, and if we are not equipped to deal with it, that's how these scammers are getting away with that,
Yeah.
because we don't have the tools to decipher what's real from what's not.
That's powerful what you're saying. And I really believe that was one of the major things as to why she got caught. She didn't understand how stuff works.
Right.
She didn't understand the company car mechanism. She didn't understand how real estate was. Shout out to Brandon Ford who's in the house. He's on here every first Monday and he's supporting with us tonight. Like Brandon, let me ask you a question. Does it make sense that somebody come drop 700? Is it normal that people just come and drop $700,000 cash on a $7,100 $700,000 home? Don't most people take jumbo loans on those kind of properties? Or am I just making like if you know those rules, you don't get conned like that? You know, like there was so many financial. She's never seen a bank account online before. She doesn't know the difference between a screenshot and an act. Like she thought he was screenshotting Google Images. You know how I knew she knew? Because as soon as it was over, she found out. She found it out real quick. So she
Now, to be fair, a real estate
okay.
agent just recently told me that now with the interest rates being like 7% and stuff like that, typically somebody who's got a lot of coins, right? They
Hmm.
will use the bank's money to buy a home when the interest
Right.
rates are low. But at this rate, with the interest rates being so high, they'll
Mhm.
take the cash and they will buy a $600,000-700,000 home cash if they got it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people with money out here. We don't think that they are. If you're at the bottom and you typically you hang out with friends who are also at the bottom with you. So you don't realize how many people out here actually have money to be able to drop large sums like that.
No, I knew they had large sums of money for sure. I know there are a lot of people with large sums of cash, but most of the time, and this is during 2020, this is maybe
Mhm.
not now. 2020, the interest rates were extremely low.
No.
I don't know normally somebody that would put 100 700 just so like you said so they could use the bank's money. Most really wealthy people that I know, they say I'm using the bank's money and I'm using that 700,000 to invest in maybe
Exactly.
multiple real estate properties. I even if they use the cash, they're using the cash to invest in multiple real estate properties, not just one, like one singular one. I just That's just not. I'm waiting for Brandon to answer me. He's not saying nothing. Go ahead.
But to your
But
point, though, if she doesn't know that many people who
Yeah.
have that kind of capital to be
Right.
able to drop large sums, she's not having these conversations.
Right. She's not having the conversations.
but again, it goes back to the relationship side of things. Did she really know what he did for a living? did they spend enough time talking about, and did she have enough time? Did she go meet? Did she go to, have a lunch date with him at the job, right?
Mm-mm.
Little things like that is what, your circle of friends will encourage you to do to make sure things are legit, right? So there's things you can do to see, okay, is this, what do you do, what kind of career, da da da
Mhm.
da da. So you can have a framework to say, okay, is this legit?
She
You
saw the
brought up
paperwork.
something. You she saw the what paperwork?
She saw the paperwork that said that he was a regional manager and about to be promoted to a VP. She saw the paperwork, but what paperwork? And that goes back to what we were talking about before: is making sure your crew is, got your back and say, hey, we need to do a little bit more research. We need to go and maybe she knew the company, so she could have researched at those levels. You should be able to find who's regional manager, who's VP online, right?
Oh, I mean, online. Okay,
Online.
so to your
So,
point, if she didn't know how to do that, to both Kara and Kevin's point, who was her inner circle? Like,
mhm.
who was her inner circle doing background checks, doing drive-bys? Like, seriously, like
Oh, no, no, that's real. That is absolutely real. So, and I grew up in Miami, Florida, right? So the crew that I grew up with, these are things that we did, especially to protect the women friends that we had in our circle, right? Because we knew that, not that you're more susceptible to it, but there's some things that we can do to protect you so that, we can come back with news and saying, okay, I know so and so at that organization and they never heard of homeboy, right? Or they never seen
Mhm.
that guy as a regional manager. Just little things to protect each other, because at the end of the day, we're talking about someone's life here, and it,
Yeah.
it that just got ruined just because she fell victim, right? So having a good crew, having a good team around you, group of friends, a support group, even family, that can say, okay, did you check so and so, and not to, and we also got to be real as well. Sometimes we don't always like to be held accountable when we get into relationships, which is one
right.
of the things, you fall victim to if you don't, right? If you don't want to be held accountable, you're not going to say, okay, this sounds fishy to me. What do you guys think? Right?
Right. That's so
Mhm.
critical, like you said. So it's very important to have an inner circle, but it's also very important that you yourself will be willing to share it. Because she said there was things that she didn't tell her friends early on because she knew it was something bothered her, and she didn't want anybody to hold her accountable. And
Yeah.
it's critical. It's so important to be held accountable. But something that you brought out, Kevin, and I really didn't think about it, and this is
Mhm.
why I love a diverse perspective, male and female on the show. You said it's important that I check out my female friends' situation. So when I was thinking when you were talking about having an inner circle, I thought you were talking about it in the context of your homeboys. But you made it clear that no, I'm here out here protecting your homegirls. And what I realized just now, I don't think Kara, she had a lot of male friends in her inner circle. She may have had some inner female friends, but she probably didn't have many male friends, even just to be around. Can you imagine your new significant other comes around and he sees that she has multiple men in her circle to they would act different. I think if I had a significant other and they came to my book club, shout out to Brandon, he talks about the love and respect and now he sees that I have Kevin, I have Brandon, I have Howard, I have Jamal, I have Ivan, I have Dan, I have Sean. I mean, the list is going on. These are not fake names that I'm rolling out right now. These are real men, both married, single, older, and my age. They they would have to think at least twice before they try to con me or try to hurt me.
Well,
And
there's a
you
couple
just
of things because she mentioned, having her locks changed. So she was able to get on the phone with some dude who came that evening to change her locks, no questions asked. So she did. Plus, she worked in law enforcement. Majority is men. So I'm sure she
Wow.
had a few men around her who could back her up
So
if
she
she would
definitely
have
didn't say
said
anything.
something.
She was
And
saying
she
things.
also did mention how, what happens at home stays at home. And I think we need to talk about that as well, because we need to know what's okay to share and what's okay to keep to yourself, and I guess who to share it with, because you don't want to tell everybody your business, right? But
Right.
Well,
definitely there's some things and some people you should be able to divulge certain information to, that could back you up should you need it, like she did, but she did it too late in the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
That's so
think
true. Kevin, go ahead.
I think there's a dynamic here that we're overlooking here. There's the dating phase, and then
Hmm.
Okay.
there's the married phase, right? So in this, we're a lot of this that we're talking about should be happening in the dating phase,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? And you will be amazed of how it's a deterrent, right? When you have that group of friends
Yeah.
that they're always around, those male friends. So the serious, if you have a real serious male that's who wants to talk to one of our female friends,
Hmm.
they are if they're strong enough, they'll be able to make that work, right? But it's a actually a deterrent, an intimidation factor, if you will, when you have male friends that you call and you talk to, because now it's like, oh, she's not as vulnerable as
Right.
someone who doesn't have that around them. So I may not be able to use my tricks and trades on her because she may have that support group around them. And like I'm saying,
Yeah.
this is prior to marriage. Once you get married, there's a different level of privacy
Yeah.
Right.
that we all have to respect. So, and from what I heard in the story, like I didn't see it, but from what I heard in the story, she got married pretty quick.
Right.
It was a quick turnaround. So even in that, like there was signs there that I believe she saw,
Yeah.
but as you said before, she blinded herself to what she saw as red flags to say, okay, I want this so bad, which is
Yeah.
another relationship issue that we have to talk about. With how desperate are we to be
Desperation.
how desperate are we to be in a relationship that we would ignore normal red flag, that we would ignore it just to be say we're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about these red flags. Before I talk about these red flags that I saw in two different articles, they have some of them are in common. Um, one from Experian, which is a credit bureau, and another is a very popular financial company, Kiplinger. Um, Kara, you said something that was critical, and I want you to focus on it again. Right before I jump into the red flags, you talked about how she blinded herself because she was so intoxicated with what? What was she intoxicated with?
Her statement was, it is intoxicating to not have to worry financially about how to pay the bills.
Mm.
She
It
did
goes
not.
She
it
said
goes
it
back.
twice. She
It
said it
goes,
twice. She said it in the beginning and she said it around part 30-ish. She said it twice. So like
and
that
that
was a big deal for her. And as
and
a
that
single woman, listen, I was a single mom. I had an almost 2 years a 2 year old when I met my husband. Well, I met him in high school, but when we started dating, and so I can definitely understand, having to struggle, be on the struggle bus by yourself, and then have somebody coming in
And
to
saving
to
the day.
to save the day with his cape on, changing a tire, right?
Right.
On their
Superman.
first date, buying the tire for her on their first date. They hadn't even made it to the date yet, and he's already buying a tire for her. Like he was in rescue mode from jump. And if you have been doing it and working so hard for yourself, then somebody coming to rescue you out of that, I can understand that. I think that that's fair. But what we have to do, as just like Kevin said, we have to start teaching our girls, our young women from early on, to where having somebody rescue you is not about love and finances. So where
hmm
somebody comes and tries to rescue you and financially when you don't need it, is a red flag, right? Is a
Big,
red flag.
big,
Why
big red
why
flag.
are you spending $200 on a tire and you don't even know me, right?
Mhm.
Red flag.
But
Red
it but
flag.
it goes back to what we were saying before. It's both married together. Like it's a relationship problem and it's a money
And
problem.
a money
Because
Mhm.
problem.
here's what I'm saying. I have a lot of single clients that are very strong in their finances, right? So so if somebody were to do something for them, they're not, just like you said, they're not looking at that as a a sign of love, right? They're
Mhm.
saying, okay, this person is trying to do something, but that's
Exactly.
something that's something I could have done on my own, right? Or I know how I can pay that person back, or whatever the case may be. But they're so sound financially that it wouldn't be an issue for them to take care of it themselves, or say I'm strong enough in my, whether it's career or finances, that that part would not be a deal enhancer for this relationship, right?
Mm,
So that's, again, it's hand in hand. Like what is her relationship with her own father?
mm,
Because I will tell you this. Um, I just did a life lesson with my daughter and my young son just yesterday, because we were just having a random conversation, and I gave her a scenario. I said, if you were the same scenario, if you were stuck on the highway with a flat tire, how would you handle it? And she's only 12, 11, 12, right? So, and then I asked her, I say, do you know, the first thing you do is turn on the hazard lights. She's like, what's the hazard light? I'm like,
mm,
you know what the hazard light is? All right, teachable moment. So we
Mhm.
went right outside,
So they
and
can.
I didn't just go over and teach her what the hazard lights are. We did a abbreviated version on how to change a tire, right? So from that point on, she was never gonna say another man taught me how to change my tire, right? So she's not
mm,
gonna see that as a sign of love. She's gonna be like, I know how to do that. You doing it for me is not a big deal, but I know how to do it if you weren't here,
Mhm.
right?
mm,
So that equipped in our young daughters to learn certain things, and showing them, no, this is something to not to say that you're gonna ever have to do it, but you should know how to do it if you are by yourself, if you're on your own for an extended period of time.
Mhm.
so you won't feel rescued. You won't feel intoxicated. You'll
Mhm.
Right.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You'll be appreciative that he did it, but it won't lead to this level of it. Maybe it won't lead to that level of intoxication that she felt
and
Mhm.
we
that
and
led
we
her
have
to be trapped by him. Yeah, go ahead.
and we have to be very careful how we're teaching our daughters, um, because there's this notion that they have to be like princesses, and then we have to, like, we're doing everything for them, and this is how your significant other is supposed to take care of you, type of thing. But we also have to keep in mind that we have to have another level of independence there as well.
Mhm.
So not that this is other person is going to come and take care of you. No, what it is you guys are going to be a union, where you
Unit.
guys are
Yeah.
a unit, right? So you guys are going to be able to take care of things together, right? So
Yes.
we have to be very careful, because there's this stereotype where our daughters are supposed to be, take care of them, they're prim and proper, and da 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 da, which
Helpless.
is fine, which is
Helpless. But that's what they're teaching on social media right now. Like
Yes.
they all these women, they are too masculine. They know how to do all these things. But most women, they're if they had strong fathers, strong women, a lot of the time, so-called strong women, were developed by their daddies, not even their mommies. Their daddies are like, just like you, Kevin. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Make sure when you go on the road, you have gone to the place to check out your tires. This is how you, like, they're taught. And like I said before, you should appreciate a man for doing these things, but it's not gonna be like, oh, you saved my life, I owe you my life.
right. And that's the exact reason why, as a father, you should be showing them and teaching them that. so they don't to get taken advantage of while you're not in their presence.
while they're not there. Brandon says essentially, if we are taking care of our families in such a way, falling for those financial dating traps are less likely to happen. He's co signing what you guys are saying. That's so critical. My mom says that's why fathers are always important in the family and home. That is so important. So important. All right, let's jump into. So I'm hearing number one, just person. There is a role for people in finance. That's what I'm hearing. Number one, you got to have a good tight circle. Like what I'm saying is this: if I was her friend, a part of her narrative would have been this: I had this friend named Maya, and I wasn't even telling her nothing, but she kept asking me all these questions, and she kept bothering me. I had to fall out with her. I couldn't be friends with her no more. That would have been a part of the narrative, you know.
Hmm.
So I questioned her inner circle. Her inner circle was not strong, even if she didn't say anything to them and she hid stuff from them. I think she didn't want to be accountable to them. Number one, yes, but I also think her inner circle was weak. Her mother went and prayed rather than came down there and said, "Listen, we about to do something about this," right? Number two, I'm hearing fathers, parents, especially fathers, are critical in the training of daughters to not make them feel that they have to be rescued by anybody, rescued financially. So there's a critical component of people in maintaining relationships. All right, here's another.
Before
Here are the
you
top.
move on, can we give
Okay.
a shout out to those who are not fathers? Like for me, I didn't grow up with a father in the house, but I had my Pathfinder leader.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I had, teachers who stepped in. I
Yep.
Yeah.
had family, friends, and uncles and stuff like that who taught me how
True.
to change a tire, who took me on the range and taught me how to drive. My Uncle Widner and Dr. Epps, who was my Pathfinder leader, and Elder Green and stuff like that. So shout out to those who are stepping in the gap, standing in the gap.
Filling in the gaps. That
Yeah.
circle. That circle. That
Absolutely.
village. Shout out to my uncle. My uncle. I was trying to leave my house and get married. My mother. I was 35 and not married yet. And he was like, "When you gonna buy a house?" "Oh, I want to get married." He said, "You better buy a house. You better buy a
Mhm.
house." Like he that shout out to my uncle Eddie. Like you said, he was like, I'm living real well in this house because he told me to, and I listened to him. So that's
Yep.
that's the village. The
Yep.
village is important, guys, in
Yep.
finances. All right, so make sure you have a good village around you. You have a good inner circle, and you're willing to be held accountable by them.
Yes.
That's critical. You can have a good village around you. They could be blaring the red flags, flying them like, hey. But if you don't want to be held accountable by them, then you are easily conned, easily scammed. All right. From Experian, this is the credit bureau. 6 red flags. Number one, we'll just talk about them after I discuss them all. Unwillingness to discuss money. So if you with somebody who do not want to discuss money, big red flag. I forgot my red flag. I forgot my flag, so I'm gonna use my book. That's a red flag, right? Number two, if they have uncontrolled credit card debt, big red flag, right? If they refuse to disclose to you their credit score, I'm talking about you trying to get married to somebody and they don't tell you your credit score. Anybody well, I should have told all y'all to bring the red flag. Big
Yeah.
red flag. So find something red and wave it for me. Uh, if they are hiding financial accounts, if they're hiding financial accounts from you, they're not telling you about all their stuff. Big red flag. We're talking about 5 relationship red flags. If they are gamblers, they emotionally spend. They just go off and spend a whole bunch of money just frivolously, risky behaviors, red flag. And if they are financially abusive, we can talk about that. Financially abusive. What is that? They're stealing your money. They're signing your name for you on credit cards. If they're preventing you from working and making your own money,
Mm.
right? If they're refusing to sign things that are important for protection of your assets, these are financially abusive behaviors. And anything financially abusive, big red flag. All right. So here's the top 5 in Kiplinger. A lot of it is the same. You using credit cards irresponsibly. Here's an extra one on top. So there's something that's different. Not future oriented. They're not vision oriented. They're not thinking about the future. They're only thinking about now. Um, Gambling, we said that already. If they're always borrowing money from their family, always borrowing money from their friends, big red flag. So that's the two extra ones that we're not in. So I've given you 8 red flags. What do you guys think about the 8 red flags of finances? You can, which one stuck out to you the most? Brandon says his dad was your father was a gambler. That's why my mother opted for divorce. It was a big red flag.
Mm.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. What stood out to you the most? Or you could talk about all of them, but
Yeah, so for those, so in my industry, those are all just financial red flags,
yeah,
right?
that's what we focus on. Yeah, finance.
Right, right. So when someone is irresponsible with their credit cards, their debt to income ratio is super high, right? You know, you ask them what their credit score, that's super low, right? These are all signs that their money habits are bad, right? So they have some things to take care of, or to understand that they're doing wrong, to change that. So you know, again, it goes back to having an understanding of how money works, to see where those pitfalls. And if we're talking about red flag, if you see those habits in other in someone else, and you got to remember, what is the goal? The goal is to get married, right? So if your goal is to get married, do I want to be in a relationship with somebody who has issues with spending, right? Or who overspends, spends frivolously. And if we're talking about putting, and that's one thing I was wanted to mention, is like, did we have a conversation about what is our intentions when we do get married? What are some of the goals that we want to achieve together?
future
Buy a house,
oriented. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Future oriented, retirement. Do we want to have kids, right? All of those things are all financial decisions inside of your relationship.
Yeah.
So when you're spotting that, how is it? But here's the problem: if yours the same way, there's no way you're gonna be able to pick out a red flag. If you're
Mercy.
Right.
if you're
Mercy.
also a bad spender, your credit cards are maxed out. Your credit score is not the best. So we have to so we have to understand I sent you a video before we
Oh
went
yeah,
over,
yeah.
and there was a conversation being had, and the wife had to really break down that there's we have different relationships with money when we enter into our married relationship. His her husband was the saver, and she was the spender,
Mhm.
right? Spending in the way to say, okay, I want to say, I want to go on a vacation,
To
right,
Australia.
to Australia. So she said, well, we work, we make the money, and we just go. While her husband says, no, let's sit this out, let's plan it out, let's see how much we gotta save each paycheck, let's get to the end goal. And she's just like, are you stomping on my dreams?
Dreams.
Mhm.
And what you realize is it's just a difference in how it's done, right? You want to go somewhere, great, but have you thought of all the things that comes along with that? you
Yeah.
know you're just like, I'm just ready to go, but there's things that you got to take into account, while the other person says, um, let's look at all the factors and let's make a good sound decision. You all want to get to the same point. It's just making sure you do everything that you need to do to get there together, and that's the key. I think
Together.
together.
Together. Yeah, I love that because nobody's necessarily saying you have to be exactly the same. And the way that video brought it out, it's actually good to have a dreamer and a planner
Right.
together in a relationship. The goal is, are you future minded and are
Mhm.
you responsible? Because a planner may not go anywhere without a dreamer, right? A planner will
Mhm.
be too bogged down in the details to even think about going to Australia.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But a dreamer may be overextending him or herself without a planner. But
Hmm.
together they balance each other out and they get the goal done, so
That's
it's
nice.
as long as I feel like that's important too, like so nobody's saying that you have to have equal spending mindsets,
Right.
but you do have to respect one another, you have to love one another, and you have to be responsible, right? So that was a good, awesome point. What stood out to me the most with the clipping one was the financially abusive behavior. I don't like abuse in any of its forms. I'm very, very protective of myself, my mom, my parents, my friends. If I sniff out that there's some kind of abusive behavior, emotionally, financially, physically, I'm very my hairs go up, my antennas go up, right? And there are so many types of abuse, and there's so many people either are scamming, especially our elders, our boomer generation.
Yeah.
They're getting targeted by all kinds of mechanisms to try to take their money. And the worst thing in the world is somebody close to them to do that, right? Their husband, their wife, their children. That's the worst people to actually try to steal, you know, their siblings, steal money from people, that stood out to me. So I want to avoid that mindset. If I see somebody who's abusive in a dating phase, there's no way I'm bringing them in my circle to marry them, right?
Hmm.
And have children with them and pass on that financially abusive gene.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mentioned to this off air that
Mhm.
in our industry we have continuing education classes specifically on elderly exploitation financially, right? And just to your point, the statistic is way over 50%. The
Mercy.
exploitation happens with a family member, right? So that goes again to relationships and money, right?
Hmm.
Because whether it's a daughter or a son, they aren't really managing their money well. They're saying, okay, where can I go to get what I need financially? So they'll look at the one who is the weakest link, if you will, in the
Yeah.
family. Say, okay, I'll come along and say that I'm taking care of things, but you're really there to exploit the situation, right? Because this whole thing is about trust, right? So when you're getting into a late relationship, when you're talking about getting married, when you're talking about finances, this is all a trust thing.
It's a trust
Hmm.
thing.
So if you can't trust, or if you devise a way so somebody can trust you to a point, it's very easy for this to happen, right? Which is once again why we talked about earlier. What mechanisms do you have in place to ensure that
Ensure.
some of this doesn't happen, right? Some of this trust things, or exploitations don't doesn't happen.
So what are some mechanisms that are in place? So that's so critical. Can you imagine marrying somebody that will then end up taking advantage of your parents, right?
Mm, yeah,
Stealing from your mother. You marry somebody stealing from your mother. You this is you said over 50, you get with somebody, or you yourself are so um corrupt financially that you say that you're going to start taking care of your mother and then literally start taking
Stealing from her instead.
stealing from her instead, or
Hmm.
him.
yeah. So
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the one of the things that we like to say is you should have a team around you, a financial team around you. So you should have a financial person, you should have a tax person, you should have a real estate person, you should have a legal person
Hmm.
around you at all times. Now they don't have to be you don't have to they don't have to be your personal person, but if you have friends that are in the legal realm, you have friends that are tax people, you have friends that are in the financial realm that you can call and you can bounce ideas, or you can bounce a
Yeah.
situation off to say, okay, I think this is going on. How should I handle it? Right? These are ways that you can avoid some of this by having a team around you, a professional team and a personal team, right? that can help avoid. So we talked about the relationship team that you should have, right? Your
Mhm.
support system, things like that. But on the financial realm, you have a professional team around you as well, because they'll be able to spot things like your professional team. So if you're doing your taxes and all of a sudden there's a big spike, right, or there's a big low, they'll be able to ask you
What
questions. Hey,
happened?
what happened this year? You know,
Yeah.
X, Y. Um, if you're in a relationship issue and you need some legal advice, what should I do, right? You know, so that's important. Those are things that you can do
Back
to
to the
help.
village.
Back to
Exactly.
the village. Back
Back
to the
to,
village. You gotta have a village and be willing to be held accountable by that village. Look what Brandon says. Some women, wives, give their men the full reins to the family's financial standings to not have be so-called bothered with those things. It could work if you have a man that is financially responsible, but it can be disastrous if he is not. And like I said before, it's good to have balance with two people. The reason why the Bible says two are better than one is because usually when God puts people together, there's weaknesses and strengths, and they combine. If you just put all your, the only person you give all that kind of faith to, or that kind of leanings to,
it's
is
the
the
Lord.
Father in heaven, the Lord, the
That's right.
Lord.
And that's one thing that she mentioned too. She said if she had to do it all again, she would be involved. And so the second time that they were looking for houses, she wanted, all the emails to come to her and et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't matter if you have all that information, you don't know what to do with it. So again,
Right.
education, literacy, right? Financial
Yeah,
literacy.
yeah. You
So
gotta
so
have it.
not to give a shameless ploy here, but the second book that we created was called How Money Works for Women, right? And it was designed specifically for situations like this, right? We have about 6 or 7 or 8 characters in there, and they're going through different life stages, right? One is a divorcee, right? One is out of an abusive relationship. One is a young student getting into her first career, like student loans, right? Things of that nature. And the reason why I bring that up is because one of the statistics we do know, due to modern medicine, we are living longer, but women tend to live longer than males. So
That's right.
As Brandon pointed out, a lot of times we see widowers that they come in and they have no clue what
Mm.
Mhm.
used to do for with their finances. So now we have to do a bit of deep dive and discovery when if they had an inkling or if they were involved in that side of the family during the time of the husband being alive, there would be a lot of things that they would be aware of that they don't know is happening or not happening or is happening in financially, right? So as Brandon pointed out, it's not to say that you're going to be the expert in that said subject, because you just like you said, strength and weaknesses, but being involved and being aware. So like, do you know how the bills are structured, right? Do you know where all your important documents are, right? Do you have all the kids' information readily available, right? So little things like that, especially as we talk about a woman situation. Um, it's very important to be involved in that aspect and not overlook that as you go into your relationship.
You got to be in the know. Like that's one of the major red flags. Unwillingness to discuss money. Like if you can't have a conversation with somebody who wants to talk about money and wants to disclose their credit score, you don't want to be with that person because you are going to always be talking about money. One of the number one reasons for divorce is financial
Money
issues,
problems. Yeah.
money problems. Ebony says there's nothing that good on earth that will give you a pass to abuse my parents. I'll be on Snap. Word up, Ebony. Word up.
Let me just say
Brandon says,
what stood
yeah,
out
go
to
ahead.
me in the things is that he didn't really meet any of those red flags. The only one that he did was he was hiding his financial accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And so she didn't mention anything about credit cards. He was very future minded, right? He was trying to buy a home with her, so and trying to buy cars with her. Um,
I don't think you told her credit score.
well, she didn't mention that. She didn't mention that. So, of the information that
Okay.
was shared in all 50 parts, right? The only red flag that was evident is when he refused to show proof of funds when buying the home.
That's powerful.
But
So, but
but
one of the major, we talked about, okay, if this relationship is leading to marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a crew, right? If this is our end goal, trust is a big thing. And
Trust, trust,
she
trust.
violated that trust early on in the relationship.
And
So
she said, I let him out of it.
yes. So she knew the truth. She went to him and she was like, I know he's lying, but I'm gonna let this one slide. And then she
mm,
Oh,
continued to let it slide. So even when she knew, even when she had done her own research, she let it slide. And so for me personally, I think that finances is just a way that we see bigger problems.
yeah.
So
And
his bigger problem was he's a pathological liar, right?
right, that's the biggest problem. Well,
That
I think he's insane, to be honest.
yes.
He's talking to himself for 2 hours without, say,
See,
hey.
nobody on the other end of the
So
phone.
I think to Brandon's point, someone who was exploited financially is first exploited
That's it right there.
emotionally. That is a powerful statement. And if
Yes.
he can emotionally abuse you, he will. If he will emotionally abuse you, he will financially abuse you.
And it starts again on the individual. So and there's this one coaching group on Facebook. They say relationship work is personal work. Relationship work is personal work. So you yourself have to do the personal work finance with your finances, right? With your mental capacity, huh? With your self-esteem, your self-worth to where you don't need a superhero to step in, right? And so that you know what you need to know in order to avoid being in a situation where this could happen to you.
It's a personal work. I love that. It's a personal work. Here's what Brandon says. Yes, sir. My wife is included in all of our financial and real estate holdings. If something should happen to me, the properties and our or partnership shares are set up to go to her if I should pass. There is some kind of that's a future minded man. And
Mhm.
if somebody is not vision oriented or future oriented, which is one of the red flags, then you won't even be thinking like that. It says a good man leaves money for his children's
Children's
children,
children.
right? That's future oriented. If people are thinking now, that's why they're gamblers. They're only and they're excessive spenders on themselves, selfishness, and only thinking for the now. Big, 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 big red flag. I think there's something that was critical, very, very critical that all of you are saying, and it's about trust. Trust. If he's lying to you, go because
Yeah, walk away. Be strong
walk away.
enough to walk away.
If
but
he's
Build
here's
that
what
lying to, if,
character.
if he or she, we're focused on he because the show was about a she, okay?
Hmm.
But if it's vice versa, if she's lying to you, if she's doing deceitful things to you, if she's hiding things from you, deception and lies disintegrate trust. And the foundation I'm hearing from this is what's up, Don. I'm hearing from Kevin and Kara. The foundation of financial relationships is trust.
and see that's why I said you can't develop trust in 2 weeks.
Can time?
Kevin don't want
Oh,
to give her no slack.
that's
Right?
COVID or not. COVID or not. He's like, listen, you should have waited till quarantine was over.
It's just not a it's not a good idea because
Not a good look.
you can't develop that trust in 2 weeks. That's insane, impossible, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not so it's not like it's somebody that you grew up with. It's not somebody that you knew in the past. This is a brand new stranger,
Stranger.
right? So there's no way you're gonna develop that type of relationship in 2 weeks. To develop that type of trust in 2 weeks, and it's not. It doesn't. That's a red flag in and of itself. You
Hmm.
gotta give it time to build that trust. So
You gotta give it time to build that. If you, there's nothing wrong with talking about money and money habits and things like that early, but you can't just believe everything off the bat like that. I learned this through just relationships with people.
Period.
Period.
Time
I've
will tell.
learned that time tells. Patterns are only revealed in time. You will know. You're not gonna know a pattern. You're not gonna know a pattern of overspending in 2 weeks. You're gonna need a year to see. Oh, every 5 months or around her
Mhm.
birthday, or around her mother's anniversary of her death, she just goes and does this drastic thing. You're
Mhm.
not gonna recognize patterns of behavior in short amounts of times. You gotta date people in all. I always say all seasons. You gotta date people all. You gotta see them all. Oh, I've seen. No, you don't. You haven't seen everything yet.
Mhm.
And even if some people have been dating for 10 years, and well, I
That's a,
think they've seen the. I think they've seen the. That's a problem because they've
that's a
seen the
fact.
patterns and they've ignored it. Right.
We can
They
go
were
too long.
intoxicated.
Yeah,
That's they were in talk. So I'm not saying dating for a long period of time will help you have a perfect relationship. But I'm saying that you must give relationships time. Time, yes, Don. It's time that will reveal the patterns. You can't rush it. You can't rush. Take your time, open your eyes. Because in the first couple of weeks, it's all we learned this in Choosing God's Best. Shout out to the Love and Respect book. In the first 3 months, matter of fact, you're filled with hormones. I'm a hormonal biologist. Like my degree is molecular pharmacology, signal transduction. I got my PhD in how hormones work. Okay, and the
okay.
first few months, you are filled with hormones. Everything is rose-colored glasses. Everything, and then as soon as the hormones start wearing off, you gotta give time. You gotta give time for the hormones to wear off,
Mhm.
so you can even notice the patterns. Time. So I'm hearing a village. This is what I'm hearing from you guys. To help protect yourself from financial red flags, which we said we've told you a lot of them, right? And the foundation of them is trust. You got to have a village. You got to have trust. You got to have time. Did I miss anything?
And
Talk.
you got to do the personal work.
Yep.
Got to do the personal work. Relationship work is a personal work. Ebony says she be hiding those Target packages. Hey, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Confess your sins one to another. I'm gonna be praying for you, Ebony. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous person availeth much.
She's going to need you to be her accountability partner.
She also says that's because people are ignorant about cash flow. People will have great credit score up to date on payments, but no cash flow. So you have to. I think we talked about
She
that. A
mentioned that.
village, trust, time, and you gotta be literate.
Hmm.
I think she
That's part
was
of that
not
personal work.
financially. Yeah, she's not financially literate. So a lot of the things that she should have asked questions about, she didn't know herself.
Hmm.
So the village could have helped her, but at least you got to have literacy, financial literacy. You got to have a village. You got to have trust. Got to have time. Woo, this was awesome. This was an awesome talk.
It was. It was.
Yes. So this last 5 minutes, I want you to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing. You guys are financial coaches, have financial businesses. So talk to me. Um, of course, you know what I do. This is just my passion. My passion is, of course, um, STEM, and this is the M part, right? M for mathematics, making money. M for mathematics, making money, right? But of course, my book, Phenomenal STEMist, is always in Amazon. Please support me. Thanks for watching. Make sure you support me by purchasing that book, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. What about you, Kara? What are you doing?
I am financial coaching. Right now, my business is Abundant Life Coaching Service, where I connect people with financial coaches, life coaches, health coaches. Our goal is to provide our clients with the knowledge obtained from people who have the wisdom and experience, who've walked the walk and talked the talk, to help you obtain that abundant life that God came here, died so that you could have, right? And so our website is www.abundantlifecs, as in coaching services.com. We have several classes going on right now about financing. The one that just rolled out is Budget 101. You can take that individually or as a group. And we also have Financial Peace University going on right now.
Thanks, Kara. Kevin?
All right, man. What we do, we teach people how money works. That's what I do. I'm a financial educator. So what we do is we go around and we teach individuals, we teach organizations, we teach groups, we teach students how money works. We have a bunch of resources to help do that. We have presentations, we have books. We also have a ebook that just came out. It's called Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life. If you like some more information on that, go to howmoneyworks.com backslash Kevin Ploche. That's howmoneyworks.com backslash Kevin Ploche. If you want a copy of the original book that we have, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, or if
Stop
you want
being a sucker.
being a, I should have led with that, right? And then our second book in the series was How Money Works for Women. Like I mentioned before, Take Control or Lose It is
Mm,
the title of the book. And then we just came out with an ebook called Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life.
Awesome, awesome. So we got things going on. I thank you so much for joining, all of you for joining. Yes, STEM for mathematics, making money. I need another M with that. Mathematics, making. Oh, you're right. Three M's. Yeah. Mathematics, making money. STEM. I love that, man. You crazy. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Also, if you could go to my website, Instagram, all social media platforms at Phenomenal STEMist, or if you have a child that you want to prepare for STEM, just the science, technology, engineering, and math, feel free to follow me on www.phenomenalstemist.com. Guys, it's been great talking to you.
yes.
I always love discussing finances, and I was like, top red flags. Who should I talk to? And I said, oh, let me get those financial coaches, Sarah, K Boogie Hartage, and Kevin. How money works? Stop being a sucker. I love that. I love that title. Ploche, and you guys did not disappoint. We spent a good hour. I always want to go less than an hour. We got like 40 seconds. So I am the phenomenal STEMist, and so are they. STEMist for mathematics, making
Money.
money. Good night, everybody.
Good night.